What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Oddchopper channel, coming to you with a Tuesday edition of NBA Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods, where some weird stuff was going on here on Monday. We had Al Horford scratched out of nowhere. We ended up having Bogdanovich scratched out of nowhere there for Atlanta. Again, there's going to be some weird situations from a betting angle. I mean, obviously, if you bet on those guys, well, you have an opportunity to get your money back. If they do not see the floor whatsoever, you get avoided. But from a DFS perspective over on the Stochastic YouTube channel, a little less fun. But there are going to be traps there all the time here in betting, stuff that is just unpredictable that you can't possibly throw into your analysis. Again, the NBA, there are weird times leading into this trade deadline. And then we have to deal with teams that aren't exactly trying at the tail end of the season as they try to improve their lottery odds. So we got to stay the course on certain things. And obviously, ended up throwing in a couple of prize picks, underdog slips, a couple of the pick'em slips that I thought made some sense there to react to some of that news. Some of it for the better, some of it for the worse. Just absolute insanity here at some ways. And Klay Thompson's hitting 7 threes and hurting Daniel Gafford's points going forward. Although he had a huge first quarter still, ended up on a pretty heavy number there. And ended up getting some good CLV in that double-double department. Ended up adding 26.5 points plus rebounds as well to the card. But anywho, that's Monday. Hopefully Scotty Barnes can find us another assist here too. He had 4 at halftime. Hopefully we can get over that 6.5 mark, get that lock through at plus 120, closed at minus 120. That's my job, is being ahead of the curve and helping you beat some of that. Obviously, maybe everybody's watching this video, we're pushing that number and it's not as good of CLV as you might expect. But what it is a really good CLV when you're talking about a two-way line there, like Scotty Barnes has night before watching this program. But I've talked a lot here on the front end because we only have 4 games, and every single game has back-to-back implications. There's one game where both teams, Houston and Atlanta, have a back-to-back going here in this one as well. We'll talk Lindy 5-0. You can get my updated plays, but we don't have any props available to me as of now. We've waited long enough. Producer Jacob and I, we've tried to wait here. Nothing is going to show up overnight. So in the morning, I'm going to be updating this at Eric Lindquist. You can find out exactly which props I'm going towards. Plus, I'll have a cool thread for you guys to break down those 4 games from a prop perspective. Hopefully, you can find some tidbits that can help you make some money on Tuesday. But without further ado, talked so much, Producer Jacob, let's get to the picks. Game number 1, the Los Angeles Lakers here. Anthony Davis currently in the middle of 36-18 with 6 minutes left in that game. It's an 8-point game. LaMelo Ball went down with an ankle injury. Looked really, really bad there. We're getting down into crunch time here. Bet when we talk about this tomorrow, you'll have a 40 spot, I think, in the last 5.5 minutes playing through him here. But Philly, I was a little bit surprised to see this opening number purely because I think about the Lakers with Anthony Davis and LeBron James, and so on and so forth. But LeBron's getting up there in age. You never know if you're going to get an unexpected scratch. And that's kind of what I'm a little bit nervous about, just firing away here on the Lakers side of things. And plus, my data does have this a little bit closer. And again, I just don't understand entirely why, other than Philly, they didn't have to play basketball on Monday, so they have the rest advantage entering this matchup for sure. But I've got Paul George out, Joel Embiid out, KJ Martin out, Caleb Martin out, Andre Drummond out, and Tyrese Maxey, Eric Gordon, Kelly Oubre, Ricky Council, I think probably starts, and Gershon Yabusele. So letting you know, it is very good stuff to be backing the Lakers if you can get the right price and LeBron is playing and AD is playing here on this back-to-back. And wouldn't you know it, he just slams that one down as I'm talking. Yes, I'm watching the basketball here in the background. I love sports. Anyway, we got ourselves over 218.5. This is the game that I have the least amount of confidence in what happens, purely because you got so many question marks with the 76ers rotation with every key member out there outside of Tyrese Maxey. And then, Yabusele's been all right here, but him going up against Anthony Davis here, like he played in the Olympics, Yabusele had some success at times, but we're talking a huge size mismatch. Anthony Davis is a big body thotty. Not that Yabusele isn't, but height-wise, size-wise, definitely going to be an advantage for AD if he's playing on this back-to-back. But over 218.5, simply going to be a lean for me. Have to wait on their news, too, with Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent. I think both have a chance to return in this one. That would make the Lakers side look even more advantageous. Houston at Atlanta. And if you watch that first half of the Celtics game where a scoreless Jason Tatum went down in the first half, not down injury-wise, but went down bad to Amin Thompson defense. Amin Thompson out there, 99th percentile defense. I don't know how many times I can say this to people. He's like a top 50 player in the NBA already. He is there already. But you had Jalen Green dinged up in that first half. He did return to start the second half here against the Boston Celtics. We've got that Houston plus 6.5 ticket so far. Looking okay here, 77-74 as we get down towards the end of this game. Pay very close attention to that one because Jalen Green being out, I'm not saying that anybody replacing him is going to be that much worse because I think of Jalen Green more as a volume scorer, and you don't really need that on this Houston team in its current iteration. Why? Because Fred VanVleet, Amin Thompson in the backcourt looks pretty good to me. You're fine. You can then, Cam Whitmore was out here with an illness on Monday. On this back-to-back, does he end up playing? But I think this game it's just a stone cold disaster to try to figure out what's going on the Atlanta side. You end up having Jalen Johnson. He's going to be out for the foreseeable future with the left shoulder injury. But Trae Young, does he return with the hamstring injury? And are there any limitations for him? Larry Nance sat out absolutely out of nowhere. And Bogdan Bogdanovic ended up being doubtful coming into, and then he ends up being active for the game. And now I doubt you're probably going to see him play basketball because apparently he's sick or something. Hasn't entered the game, inexplicably not something that was accounted for by any beat writer, anything. Beat writers don't. I'll go on that rant another day. Today is not the day because we're going to just bet Houston -5. I continue to say this and I will say it again. They continue to impress me in every single way, shape, and form. Adjusted defensive rating through the moon. And that is because Amin Thompson and Dylan Brooks on the floor together look really, really good on that side. Also, Jae'Sean Tate. Yeah, he's filling in okay at times for some of those minutes. You've also got minutes you can dust off. Tari Eason can always ramp up to 30, 32 if need be. Think he's good to play on the back-to-back. Yes, there are some unknowns for both teams, but overall, feel better backing Houston because, again, Houston's been really good to us here of late. Hopefully they can finish the job on Monday. Friends, Lindy50, if you guys want to jump into the Discord and talk process all the live long day, ask me questions about, hey, what do you have so-and-so projected for? What do you have so-and-so's minutes at? What do you have any interest in this play? A double-double you might want to play, anything like that. You fire it up with me. I will give you an answer. Plus, showing my betting tickets every single live long day, throwing pick'em tickets together for the people as well. It's a good time to jump on in. Lindy50, the water's warm. That becomes $10 for your first week. Yes, just $9.95 for your first week, $24.95 for your first month. So I guess it's even like 5 cents better than's on the screen. That seems fun, but also fun, taking advantage of Lindy50 so you can come kick it in the premium Discord with a lot of other sharp bettors, a lot of other people talking through their plays as well. Been a good run here. Obviously got in the win column in the NFL streets here in the playoffs. That was necessary. Also, NBA, yeah, there's going to be some wildness, but overall, we're going to beat that variance. So jump on in. Water's warm. Back to the picks we go. The Utah Jazz on a back-to-back taking on a rested Golden State team, and that is what we're running to here with the inflation. And we have kind of a weird slate where 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, 4:30 p.m. Pacific, you've got 2 games starting. Then we've got 2 games starting here in the TNT matinee. Obviously, just one game that's going to be on TV. TNT. There's 2 games starting at 10 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Pacific. That's what I'm getting at. And then we're going to break down a huge slate on Wednesday. A lot more props going to be available and be able to talk through. That is for sure. But again, the text thread right here, have a couple of prop interests throughout here. Obviously want to make this video not a million miles long, but a lot of informative stuff there. So go give me a follow at Eric Lindquist. Would love to see you guys check that out. Let me know what you think of it and anything I could improve on, although I feel pretty good about the process and the research behind it. But how do you even go through research of this Utah team in its current iteration? They end up sitting John Collins and Walker Kessler here on the front end of the back-to-back, but both of them, I think, are kind of live to miss the next game because Utah has so many guys that they might be looking at moving before the trade deadline. So John Collins, he's out. Walker Kessler out. Do they come back in this one? Really hard to know, but obviously Lauri Markkanen could sit on a whim, and it wouldn't shock me on the back-to-back. You can rest those guys. Utah's allowed to do such things. Again, you want to make sure you get that trade value for all of those guys, and putting them in bubble wrap for the next week and a half definitely makes sense before the trade deadline. Yeah, it's going to be a disgusting week and a half of basketball here leading up to that thing, that's for sure. But in this specific spot, Golden State involved in a lot of trade discussions, but Jonathan Kuminga, Draymond Green, the only ones that are out here right now. Everybody else going to be in, although the minutes are all over the place because you never know what kind of a mood Steve Kerr is in. And last time out, Lindy Wolters, Pat Spencer just don't even see the floor whatsoever. Trace Jackson Davis, his minutes have been absolutely all over the place. And if Walker Kessler, a true center, isn't out there, I have a lot of issues with his minutes. Plus, Kevon Looney, probably the Steve Kerr fill-in there going up against a big body thotty like Walker Kessler. I've said that twice. I need to probably check myself before I wreck myself. I don't really have a ton of interest here until we get more injury news here on this one, but I want to at least throw this out there for you. Isaiah Collier getting the start there. Micah Potter gets to those random starts here. Bryce Sensabaugh off the bench can be a huge points accumulator. If you get Lauri Markkanen and John Collins both out, that is an awesome opportunity to maybe jump on some of his alts, because even off the bench, he'll be very sneaky and something the books don't pick up on as much. Again, it's their job to pay attention to this too. It's not like I'm breaking any news, but I can disagree with the lines if we have different data points. And obviously with a 10.5 point spread, I don't think Bryce Sensabaugh sitting there on the trade deadline. And now that I said that, he'll probably be a member of the Celtics. We got ourselves Utah plus 10.5. That's a lean. Let's get to the last game. Do have some interesting stuff and a play in that one. Last game of the night, the Milwaukee Bucks. Again, you just got to have one more team here on a back-to-back. That's fun. Milwaukee's playing Utah here on the front end, and now they're going to Portland up next. And they didn't have any rest pieces. They did end up playing Chris Middleton here on Monday. I think that rules him out on Tuesday, most likely no matter what. Bobby Portis was out for personal reasons. They might have just said, hey, go take the day off and then go kick it, go do whatever. And AJ Green also ended up getting ruled out with a left quad strain. I think he should be good to come back in this spot as well, but it's disturbing. It's disgusting. I really hate it. Portland, they're going to be looking at trading anybody and everybody who's interested, but I kind of like the configuration of this team with Donovan Clingan back purely because he's very good defensively, a really good rebounder, north of a 20% total rebound percentage. And then DeAndre Ayton, he's questionable for this one. Wouldn't shock me if they ended up sitting him there, but he's not really moving the needle for me anyway. Jeremy Grant, Denny Avdia back in those starting lineups together, that kind of does. I think they're kind of an interesting tandem here offensively. And no matter what happens here in terms of Simons and Kamara, no matter what happens in terms of Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe, two guys off the bench that, can provide a little bit of offensive ammunition in the kitchen. I don't know what that means, but I think Portland plus 6.5, considering the back-to-back here for Milwaukee. And then the individual possibility of Chris Middleton just sitting out both sides of this, Chris Middleton sitting out the second side of this, Bobby Portis sitting out both sides of it, AJ Green sitting out both sides of it, and maybe a Giannis rest here, giving Damian Lillard the green carpet back in Portland. So, number of things where I could see things changing drastically, but I think more than likely Portland plus 6.5 ends up being a positive EV play. I have a small play on it. Obviously, I wanted to be able to get a little bit of dollar down on this card. Houston -5, Portland plus 6.5, but also don't forget Donovan Clingan, really good at rebounding. Robert Williams, really good at the rebounding here as well. If you end up getting backup center minutes, that's like a 24-21 split, although Jabari Walker should come out there for a little bit. They don't want to give all the run to Robert Williams. I think some rebound ladders make some sense against Milwaukee, considering they are dead last. Yeah, you heard me, dead last in offensive rebound percentage. 80.4% of the opposition's defensive rebounds. That is a big number, easy to clean up the boards in those kind of situations. Clingan Robert Williams going to stand out for me. And that does it for a quick and easy edition of NBA Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Head to the comment section below. Let me know your favorite plays that exist on the board. Obviously, at Eric Lindquist, that's where you want to head. Have a prop thread out there talking about my favorite props, potential props, that is, because there are none that are available as of right now, as of recording this, right before the 10 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to be looking a little bit later into the evening, so be on the lookout for that. Obviously, in the premium Discord, you don't have to do anything. You're going to get the plays. You're going to get a breakdown. Lindy50 gets you 50% off at the link below. Thank you, producer Jacob. Another day in the books. Wednesday, huge slate. Be ready for a lot more volume. Until then, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the NBA streets on Tuesday.